Okay, let's get started. Well, first I'd like to say good morning and Happy New Year, everyone. Hope that 2021 is a good one so far with this few weeks in. My name is Jeremy Bauman-Fortin. I'm a health nutrition specialist here in Kingston, and I'd like to welcome you to our first wellness webinar of the year. So Health Promotion Kingston will be delivering some webinars every Wednesday morning for the next few months. And these will be short and sweet, around 20 to 30 minutes, like the one today. They'll be on various health and wellness topics. And yeah, so make sure you tune in every week to get your health promotion tip of the day. So today's topic will be on kickstarting January, tips to start the year full throttle. Right, so we'll be here looking at goal setting. And so in this little webinar, I'll be giving you 6 tips on how I believe can help you achieve your goals this year. So first, I'd like to ask, what are your thoughts on this? New Year resolutions, are they good or are they bad? What do we think? I like setting New Year intentions. Very good, Sharon. Yeah, so I actually would say that they are neither. There's actually a good side and a bad side, I find. So the good side is that you're setting a goal, right? Which is super important, right? So those New Year resolution is setting a new goal or a new intention, as Sharon likes to phrase it. So those are really good, right? To keep our motivation up, keep our self-direction, and help us further improve ourselves. However, the downside is that you shouldn't wait for the new year to set new goals, right? Goals should be set really whenever and for whatever, right? We shouldn't wait for the new year to set new resolutions, new intentions, new goals for ourselves, right? So the important thing though is setting the right plan. So so you may be one of those people, right, who same goal, different year, right? What are those things that what are those goals that you see yourself do every year, or tell yourself that you'll do every year, but for some reason it never really happens, right? What might have you been doing wrong, right? So here are my 6 tips on what you can do to make sure that this year you can really tackle those goals and achieve them. Okay. So first thing you can do is that you can do differently is, well, one, reflect on your previous year's goal, right? As Albert Einstein once said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results, right? So if it didn't work last year, the year before, the multiple years before, what have you might been doing wrong, right? And with that is an opportunity to learn, right? So to self-reflect is an opportunity to learn on seeing okay, that didn't work. What can I do this time, right? So was it maybe from not being specific enough, right? Being too broad, so not really knowing if I achieved it? Is it maybe from a lack of guidance? So maybe you needed help to achieve this goal and you never reached out for that help. Maybe was it unrealistic or too optimistic? So in that sense, it was so hard to achieve that it's never going to be achieved. Or maybe you just didn't quite know where to start, and due to that reason, you never really got started, right? So the opportunity to self-reflect is really important so that we don't repeat the same mistakes that we may have had the previous times, right? Second thing we can do differently is making sure it's a realistic goal, right? There's nothing more demotivating than setting a goal and never being able to achieve it. It can really set a toll on our self-confidence and our self-motivation. And so we want to make sure it's realistic. So ask yourself, am I being too optimistic? Is this something that I can honestly achieve? Right? And if it's something that is quite big, if it is a big goal, right, which is nothing wrong with big goals, but maybe it can be overwhelming to have one big goal. So maybe breaking down in smaller goals, right? This way it feels a lot more achievable, less overwhelming, and then you'll have that sense of reward as you keep achieving each of those individual goals. Right? So make sure you break it down that those smaller ones are realistic to achieve that larger one. Third thing we can do differently is making sure it's specific and measurable. So here, what I mean is that if it's too vague of a goal, then you don't even know if you accomplished it. And then if there's no measurable parameters, then you don't know if you've reached that goal, right? So making sure that you know exactly what you're working towards, right? And making sure that you have those measurable parameters, it will really help you moving forward with that goal. So for example, if you just tell yourself, okay, this year I want to eat better. Well, eating better is very vague, right? It's hard to have that sense of direction on what will I do to eat better, right? So maybe to make that more specific, you may say, okay, I'll eat, 7 to 10 servings of vegetables and fruit per day. Well, here you go. This is very specific, right? It targets fruits and vegetables that maybe you want to increase, and it's measurable because it's those 7 to 10 servings, right? Or maybe you have those guilty pleasures, and and you really like those chips. Well, then on that eating better goal, right? So maybe instead of buying those 2-3 bags of chips, maybe you buy 1 bag of chip and you savor every single chip in that bag, right? So here we are maybe limiting our little guilty pleasures and that junk food that we do enjoy, but then we don't necessarily want to remove completely from our diet, right? We still want to have those things that we enjoy. It's just maybe reducing and eating them in moderation, right? So that's all in the eating better, goal that maybe a lot of people have. Or another one could be, okay, I want to spend less and I want to save more money. Okay, awesome goal. However, that is still, again, very broad and lack certain specificity. Right, so for one, maybe determine what you're saving for. Right, are you saving for retirement? Are you saving for a home? Are you saving for a trip or a car? Right, a trip that will be in 2022 or hopefully 2021. We'll see. But still, what are you saving for, right? And what is your strategy to save that money? How are you going to put some weekly or monthly contributions to your savings? Or is it, I'm going to stop spending on this and money I would have spent on that, I'm going to put it there, right? So what are your strategies to make that goal achievable, right? And making sure it's specific and measurable. Fourth thing we can do differently is having a timeline, right? It is hard to stay motivated when you don't see, when you don't have that strict deadline, right? If it's a deadline that can be pushed, then you'll keep pushing forward on that goal and never really working towards it, right? So making sure you have that timeline is really important, right? Which is, for example, people that tell themselves, okay, this year I want to start running and get in shape. One thing that is nice about that is, and to create that timeline is, throughout the year, again, we'll see in 2021, but throughout the year, there's often a lot of races, right? And those races are great to create that timeline, because you're like, okay, I know there's a half marathon in August, right? Well, now this is my timeline. And so, okay, I want to run my half marathon. So I need to train. And so I need to progress towards that so that I can achieve that goal in August, right? So there's different ways to create that, to help us achieve that goal, right? So creating that timeline is an aspect that we really want to follow. Then the fifth thing we can do differently is identifying those potential obstacles, right? Those barriers that may have stopped us in the past, right? Maybe we weren't aware of those barriers, or maybe we were not acknowledging those barriers, but it's important to not pretend like they won't be there, right? There will be barriers, there will be obstacles as we're trying to achieve our goal. However, we can plan for them, or we can try to plan for them as much as we can. And this is really something that we should do, because here it will really help us overcome those obstacles, because we'll come in prepared, right? Or at least as prepared as we can. And one thing to consider is those obstacles or barriers. Are they internal barriers or are they external barriers, right? Is there something inside of me that is stopping me from achieving that goal? And maybe look at that and seeing how can I remove that barrier? What is stopping me from achieving this? And then, or is it an external barrier where it's something outside of me that I may want to address, so that I can remove it as that obstacle, right? So that I can achieve my goal. So making sure we plan and prepare for those, really important. And finally, a sixth tip of the day is really consider setting a goal that is focused on your inner self, right? It is easy to set goals for other people, right? To maybe to make that, so that they're happy, or so that they are, maybe to impress them, or for whatever reason, right? If you're trying to do something for something else, sometimes it might not be as motivating, and the reward might not be there as much. So really focusing on that inner self, right? Making sure your goal is for yourself. Are you doing it for you? And this will be so much more rewarding in the end, because it is something that you want to achieve. It's something that you want for your own self growth, right? And so this year in 2021, let's focus on that, right? Let's focus on our inner self and what we want and what we want to achieve, right? So definitely keep that in mind when you are setting your goal. So as a recap of our 6 tips for goal setting: 1, reflect, right? Reflect on what you've done in the past and what might not have worked, so that you don't repeat it. 2, make sure it's realistic, so that it's not overly, it's not achievable, right? Making sure it's realistic so that you do achieve it, so you do have that sense of reward. Make sure it's specific and measurable. So here we want those measurable parameters to make sure that we are doing it and that we have our target at the end, right? That we know we've accomplished it and that we're going in the right direction. Making sure we have that timeline, right, to keep that motivation up. And then removing those potential barriers, right? So, and that self-reflect time, as well as also to try to identify those potential barriers that we may come about when we're working on our goal. And finally, focus on our inner self, right? So making sure you are doing it for yourself in the end, right? Not for someone else. So with that, there's many goals that can, that someone can choose. And just as an FYI, Health Promotion has a vast diversity of programs that may reflect on some of the goals that you have, right? So if it's looking maybe at quitting smoking, well, we have our bottle program that we actually are currently running a virtual one. Well, that could be, we could be a support for that and could be a resource for you in quitting smoking, right? Or maybe it is to work on your stress management. Well, we do have some stress, we do have a stress program, right? Or maybe it's working on, eating better, where we have 2 nutrition programs. Or maybe you want to get fit and you want to make sure you don't get injured. Well, we do have an injury prevention program. So here, again, it's just as an FYI what Health Promotion can offer depending on your different goals. But also just be aware, we currently are not teaching any of these programs in person due to our current situation. We're not allowed to teach in person. But I did want to just present it to you today, just to increase your self-awareness, and so that you can keep us in the back of your mind, because we, that might be subjective, but we are a great resource, and we do have a lot of valuable information that we can share, and we can really be there in helping you achieve your goals, right? So just keep us in the back of your mind. Our website is at the bottom, www.pspkingston.com, or you can also email us maybe, and we can put you on the wait list if you are interested in any of these programs. Right, so just keep us in the back of your mind. However, for the time being, we are offering those wellness webinars on Wednesdays. Our next one coming up is on January 20th, so next Wednesday. and it will be on getting back on track. So this will be with Jackie Lesarge, a very special health promotion specialist, and looking at ways to get a fresh start with 2021. And then the following Wednesday will be with Rachel Askett on how to train your brain. So looking at some mental fitness exercises, such as positive thinking and grounding to help you visualize the road ahead. So these are some upcoming programs. You can register if you go to our website again at pspkingston.com, and then you follow the following tabs: adults, health promotion, and then health promotion webinars. This is the way to get to them and to register if it wasn't the way that you've followed to register for this one. So that's it for today's webinar. Hopefully that was some good insight on maybe things you can change for your New Year's resolutions or your goals or your intentions, right? We are looking at all of that this year and making sure that we get those goals and we achieve them. And yeah, hopefully health promotion can be there to help you do that. So thank you everyone for joining in. Have a wonderful day and best of luck with your goals for 2021.